Hello everybody. Most of you don't know me, which may be fortunate for you. My name's Keith. I'm an old friend of Todd, and I mean old in both ways. Jeff, another friend of ours from back in the day in Nanaimo, asked me, well actually he threatened me, to do something for Todd's birthday, which we were supposed to be at, but unfortunately for me, with the new store and business, I just couldn't take the time off. And Jeff, I don't know, it's some clutch thing. He made a bunch of stuff up. I just don't think he ever really liked Todd that much. But he asked me to tell you a little story about our past. And it's actually a story in 3 parts. And the first part is about a concussion. And the second part is about a concussion. And the third part, again, is obviously now you see the trend, a concussion. But it was kind of amusing, and if you were there and saw it then, and you know Todd, which I guess you guys do know Todd, or you wouldn't be sitting there watching me. But anyway, I digress. It's pretty funny. So the first one is, I guess we're about 16, 17 years old in Nanaimo, and we're hanging out in Todd's carport. It's just what you do when you're 16 or 17. In Nanaimo, you hang out in strange places. So we're in a carport, and Todd jumps up and grabs onto the edge of the sun deck, like this. So he's like hanging, and he's not really very tall. So he's hanging there, and he starts to swing a little bit, and he's swinging, and then the edge of the board here, you see, pushes his hands off, like, he swings, and down he comes, woof, but the back of his head, there's a little wall, right, underneath the edge, a little cement thing, like 3 feet tall, and Todd plummets like 8 feet, and slams the back of, it sounded like a coconut, the back of his head on this wall. Well, I'm like, oh my God, Todd's dead. But he jumps up. I mean, like, poof, like a spring. And he takes off up the driveway. I mean, like, Ben Johnson on steroids couldn't catch this boy. He took off like the Flash. And he runs out, and he stops in the cul-de-sac. And then he turns around. And he sprints back, like running like a demented man. Into the carport, stops, boom, down he goes, unconscious. Comes to a little while later, has no recollection of jumping up and running, no. So, first major concussion. Okay, second time, Todd and I are in the backyard with his dad, and if you've met his dad, then you know who I'm talking about. Mr. Workman's he's a certain type of man, and he never liked me. And in hindsight now, as I look back over the years, I understand now, finally, as I'm reaching a particular age, much like Todd, very old. He didn't like me, mostly for reasons because of my fault. You see, I was a dick. But anyway, he had a nickname for me, which there may be children present, so I can't asshole repeat. But every time I saw him, he would call me this particular nickname. And anyway, him and Todd are out in the backyard, and his dad's decided to take the camper off of the pickup truck. And there's 2 old crank jacks that you use to take this like 2,000-pound camper off the truck. So Todd's on one side, Dad's on the other. I'm standing back, giving sarcastic encouragement. And they're cranking, and they're cranking, and they're cranking. And Todd slips. And the thing goes, and hits him like right and square in the forehead. And Todd flies back, bam, flat on his back. I mean, like he's been shot by a bullet in a movie. Well, son of a bitch. He jumps up, takes off like a bat out of hell. I mean, like, there's smoke coming out from his sneakers, up into the cul-de-sac, turns around, comes running back into the backyard, falls down. Todd's old man looks at me, looks down at Todd, looks at me, looks down at Todd, and just shakes his head and starts giving Todd shit. Todd's coming to the sound of his dad standing over him going, "You're an idiot, where are you, let go," and the camper's falling down, and it was a disaster. Second major concussion. Now, this is the coup de grace. This is the final. We're at a party somewhere in Nanaimo. I don't even remember where exactly. It was on a street, maybe a cul-de-sac. It's all kind of a alcoholic blur. But we're out on the back porch, a bunch of us, and Jeff and Rich, I believe, start, monkeying around. Boys will, maybe a little latent stuff. It's hard to say, really. It was kind of touchy-feely. But they start pushing each other around, snorting and stuff, and they move towards the back of the deck, where Todd, innocently, I believe, maybe talking to a girl. He did that occasionally. Leaning, looking suave as only Todd can. Not with a testicle hanging out of his shorts this time, which is a story for another birthday, perhaps. And the girl, I can't remember, is looking. And Jeff and Rich, like charging bulls, slam into the railing, and the railing collapses, falls, taking Todd, Jeff, and Rich with it. They pile over, slam down on the grass, Todd taking the brunt of the fall. We all gasp, run to the edge, just in time to see Todd leap to his feet and sprint off into the night. Gone, like a will-o'-the-wisp, just vanished at like Mach 2. It was, I believe, again, you got to remember, it's a little hazy. A couple hours later, we found him. We did send out search parties, I think. Somebody went to the end of the drive and yelled or something, I don't know. We made an effort. And then he came staggering back, and no memory of what happened, no recollection at all. So if the point of this whole thing is that if you're talking to Todd and he kind of drifts off or something, or he doesn't remember the conversation like 10 minutes later, or if you ask him something and you get that kind of look and like he's like rhubarb or something, you know, then it's not because he's very old, and it's not because he's going senile or anything. It's just because his brains got so rattled, largely through his own stupidity. Except for the last one, obviously, that's, you know, Jeff and Rich got to take a hit for that. But, so there you have it. Now I tried to explain Todd's dazed look of confusion when you ask him something more complicated than would you like more water. So, happy birthday, Todd. Sorry I couldn't be there. Everybody that I've talked to is sorry that they can't be there too. That's both Jeff and I. And so I will see you soon, I know, and poke around the 21st. Yeah, maybe. Hey, fly out. Hey. You gotta have air miles backed up or something, dude. I mean, like, you're corporate. Come on, like, can't you just like fudge something or something? You know, tell them like you gotta go out here to look at like inspect a train line or something. I don't know. Anyway, do what you can, and happy birthday. And oh, by the way, this is the very first like personal video thing that I've ever made, and it's really strange, and I'm kind of self-conscious about it, but I'm actually thinking maybe I should be on television.